Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another fight prediction video. In this video, I'll be predicting some of the key fights for one on TNT 1, Moraes versus Johnson. So without further ado, let's get to our first fight that I'll be predicting on the card. So in our first fight, we have in the heavyweight division, Omar Kane versus Mehdi Barjai. And you can call him Omar Kane or you call him Rug Rug, whatever name you want to call him. But yeah, Omar Kane versus Mehdi Barjai. And I see this one right here. Both have wrestling backgrounds. Kane's wrestling background is a little bit more unorthodox and probably not as traditionally technical. Was Bargi competed in I think freestyle, world style wrestling. So he competed in the world stage, whereas Kane kind of competed in some like Sinhalese wrestling. So Bargi is the more traditional wrestling, and you would say he's the more higher caliber wrestler and competed at a world stage, whereas Kane kind of competed this nationally, not internationally, you could say. So definitely at a higher level. But Bargi's 4-3, Kane is 2-0. And also I say all this about wrestling and whatnot and who's more technical just in wrestling. But I think Kane's the more well-rounded fighter, and I think he's the truer fighter between the two. I think Bargi, I've seen in some of his fights where he looked decent, but then when the fight became a fight, he folded pretty much. And one of those fights you could say is the Ji Won Kang fight. And Ji Won Kang does hit hard, ends a good striker, but he was able to take Kang down and have success. I think he even mounted him at one time, transitioned well, and was busting him up. And the moment Kang was able to get back to his feet and start to land on him, he pretty much just wilted. Like, he's a guy that's a front runner and definitely a guy that comes from wrestling background. One of these people that your background, it doesn't train you to take punches. You go out there, you want to wrestle, you want to pin people, you want to slam people and get points on people and stuff. So it's not a sport, and it's not like he's the youngest spring chicken. So that's what you grew up. I mean, that's what you were built on. And now just late into your, just switching your career up and switching paths and like you're the youngest spring chicken, and you're just not going to be able to adapt to that the easiest. And he only had 7 fights. So, by the way, where I'm going with this one, I'm talking too much about his past and whatnot. But I just see this one. I think Bargi is the better wrestler between the two. I think he will have some slim bit of success, but I think Kane's, even though he might not have the most traditional or most stellar or most proven background in wrestling, he does have a good base. I think Bargi will be able to get some takedown. Well, maybe one takedown, but I think Kane will be able to get back to his feet. And I think Kane will be able to stuff him. So I see Bargi having a limited amount of success early, but then when I see Kane start to land his power on Bargi, I see Bargi wielding, and I see him getting put away in the first. I think he's not going to be able to take that power once he starts to feel that strength and feel the power and not find to be able to lean on his wrestling to be a safe spot for him. And that starts feeling that power, he's going to quickly wilt and get put out of there in the first round. So in this one, I have Omar Kane via first round TKO. Now to our next fight, we have in the middleweight division, Tyler McGuire versus Raymond Magomed Aliyev. So I'm going to say Magomed Aliyev versus McGuire. So yeah, McGuire versus Magomed Aliyev. When I was looking at this one at first, I had to really look into this fight. Now, I'm going to be honest, I haven't been following either of these guys' careers, so I had to watch a couple of their fights to see what they're really about. And on paper, you always like, oh, that guy's Russian, so he probably got a sambo background. He probably already got wrestling in the bag, just like that. Like, he's a stellar wrestler, and look at, he's been finishing people, knocking people out. So he's a stellar wrestler, and he can knock people out. So looking at the guy, one guy is just a wrestler, the other guy is a knockout artist and a wrestler. We're really looking deeper into it. He might have a good wrestling background, but I didn't look even. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't delve that deep into his background, but I did look at his fight against Nakashima, and was not impressed with his wrestling at all in that one. Nakashima was able to find so much success in wrestling and dominate him, and really do what he wanted to him in that fight. And then once they get locked up, didn't see the best wrestling defense or response to the wrestling. Didn't address it very well, and he hasn't had a fight where he necessarily has had to address it since. And Tyler McGuire, in the fight where he lost, they both got one loss. And Tyler McGuire fight where he lost, it was a fight where it was competitive. He was fighting a guy that was more of a striker, but it worked on his wrestling. Got dominated by Ben Askren in the past, a guy like that. And he was able to find success with his wrestling and kind of fought one-dimensional in that fight. But eventually, after a fight that probably would have went to decision, he would have won. Was tired, defense was out of the window, was out the window, and got caught lax. And that was a 5 round fight. So definitely something to worry about in this fight, where against a guy who's such a clean striker like Magomed Aliev is. But I think the wrestling is more proven than the striking, if anything. McGuire got caught making a mistake or being tired at towards the end of a fight when like 20 seconds or 30 seconds ago. Aliev got dominated pretty much in wrestling for I think like 15 minutes, if not more, against Nakashima. So that speaks to me more than McGuire getting caught in 20, 30 seconds. It is a concern, but I'm more concerned about how I didn't like how Aliev responded to wrestling. And we have seen fights where McGuire has been in the 5 rounds, or been deep wrestling, and we've seen against Luis Santos, who's not no easy guy to deal with, a guy with like over 60, 70 plus fights, well-rounded skill set, strong, good striker, good BJJ. Just a solid fighter like that, solid veteran in the game, and it went like several rounds hard with him, took it deep, and was able to get a win over him, and had to wrestle, and experienced every single position, had to strike with him, and held his own. So when I really look at this one, I think I'm not really impressed by Magomed Aliev's takedown defense or how he responded to the wrestling of Nakashima. And I think Tyler McGuire has a similar style to Nakashima in a lot of ways, like almost, I wouldn't say mirror images, definitely not, but definitely, broadly speaking, very close in styles. And they're both guys that can wrestle and, do that for as long as they need to do it. Though McGuire did have that one fight in his last fight where his only loss, where that simply was the case. He kind of spent himself more than he needed to. But I think it's saying how Aliev didn't really give Nakashima much of a fight as far as defending the takedowns. I feel like Tyler McGuire should have more than enough energy to, maintain that pace, especially through 3 rounds. It's not a 5 round fight, but especially through 3 rounds. And I see him, like I said, I see Aliev having success on the feet. Magomed Aliev having success on the feet at times, but I think it's more the case, the story of this fight is when Tyler McGuire's wrestling, being able to lock up Magomed Aliev, take him to the ground, wear on him against the cage, drag him down to the ground, throw those overhands, and this time set him up to set up his takedown, and just be up underneath Magomed Aliev the whole time, crouch sniffing and getting a decision victory. So in this fight, I have Tyler McGuire via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in our co-main event, in the welterweight division, Eddie Alvarez versus Yuri Lapikis. It's kind of weird seeing these fighters fight up a weight class, because Eddie Alvarez, he's a decent size 155, but even at 155, he's not the biggest 155. Now he's fighting at 170, so I can see why he got his jaw cracked, because it's not like he's a big 155er, and now he's fighting 170, so he's definitely undersized at this weight class. But how is this one right here? I can pretty much tell you all what Yuri Lapikis does in like 5 seconds or 20 seconds or whatnot. This guy just throws overhands. He comes in there, he's chiseled, he's in shape, probably on a little bit of steroids as well. It seems like everybody in this league that's kind of been in the league for a little bit, kind of some steroids, they all chiseled to the gills and stuff. The skills might not be that, well, some of their skills do be amazing. They're underrated. I'm not going to disrespect them like that, but it do seem like it's kind of something kind of questionable about their physiques and their strength and lots of. Could it be not cutting weight? I definitely think it's a bit of somebody passing some drugs around this league, and I would put a good penny that a lot of these guys on some legit steroids. But either way, Yuri Lapikis chiseled to the gills like a lot of these guys in this league. Throws big shots, big overhands, and tries to pretty much just take you down. He like Ronda Rousey if she was a dude, but like with the same skills. So if she was in the like man's MMA, she would get. Well, I don't know where I'm going with this case, but just those big shots and then tries to take you down to the ground and dominate you on the ground with his wrestling. That's just what he does. Throw big overhands and then tries to go for hidden arm chokes, try to go for takedowns. Try to go for these big takedowns without little setups. His setups are his big overhands. Then he just tries to crowd the space, latch on you, and just get you to the ground any which way he can so he can dominate you there. We're going against Eddie Alvarez, who's a veteran of the game, who's skilled in every single aspect of this game. Much better strike. I think Eddie Alvarez is going to embarrass him for that sloppy striking that he had, that sloppy over-aggressive striking, counter and probably drop him when he try to come in with those sloppy shots, to stuff his takedowns, and probably take his back, to snap his, this counter his wrestling, and just use that overexertion to just put his own energy against him and take him to the ground, land some ground and pound, dominate him there, dominate him on the feet, and just really just be 1 or 2, 3, 4, 5 steps ahead of him every single time. Especially when a guy just almost a one-track tunnel vision type fighter, just looking so desperately for a finish or so eagerly for a finish. I think that's going to be exploited against him. And like I said, I just feel like Eddie Alvarez can beat him every single aspect of MMA and is more, and just better and just more advanced in every single area than Lapikis is. Especially in this concept of MMA or within the realms of MMA, he's better. And I think even outside that, to an extent, he's better in every area than Lapikis. I think only Lapikis has on him is size and a bit of youth. That's about it. But outside that, I think Eddie Alvarez beats him every single where. And I actually think I'm not gonna think I don't think he gets a stoppage. I'm gonna say decision. I think he 1, 2 steps ahead, embarrasses him out there in the way. Still gonna be a tough fight. Like I said, a guy like Lapikis probably on some steroids as well, but with that size and with that aggression, he gonna make you have a hard fight. He don't go out there and be a guy that's gonna lay down for you, but it's gonna be a tough fight. But I feel like Eddie Alvarez is gonna be able to break him down, wear him down, take him to a decision, beat him, be a step or two, if not 5 ahead of him at every point in every single aspect of the game, and probably almost like this kind of having worn down going to that decision, broken down on the feet and on the ground. But a fight that goes to decision, tough through the first 2, but Eddie Alvarez definitely been able to run away with it by the 3rd. So in this one, I have Eddie Alvarez via decision. Now to our main event, we have in the bantamweight division, Adriano Moraes versus Demetrius Johnson. So let me say that again. Adriano Moraes versus Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson. Sorry for the tongue-tiedness, but it is what it is. Let's get these predictions to this prediction. So this is flyweight at least at bantamweight championship, but sometimes I say flyweight. There's a lot of confusion with one, but I don't really predict one fights that much. So maybe they bring me here more, and I'll get better at predicting one's fight and getting more used to their divisions, how things run in this league. But it is what it is. So Moraes versus Demetrius Johnson. One of the most interesting about this fight, and really with a lot of these fighters coming from UFC 2-1, is the fact that of these weight classes, it seemed like the whole thing is about not cutting weight, but it seems the fighters in 1 is like they're still cutting significant amount of weight, but the guys that's coming from the UFC, they aren't catching on to it, or like it's like, oh, we're just gonna go with it, so I'm gonna fight a weight class up. So it seems like they're always like severely undersized compared to the people that they're fighting. Like Mighty Mouse, I mean, even in the UFC at flyweight, he was still smaller than everybody fought, except probably Dodson. So everybody else he fought, he was smaller than. But he looks significantly smaller in this league than everybody fights. Just like Alvarez looks significantly smaller than in this league than everybody he's fought. And now going against Moraes. Moraes will be 5'8", and Mighty Mouse is only 5'3", so that's a 5-inch height advantage. And Mighty Mouse only had like a 66-inch reach. I think Moraes had like a 72, 73. So a significant height advantage, significant reach advantage, but Johnson has a significant skill advantage. And definitely far more advanced in his MMA game than Moraes is and probably ever will be. But that's no disrespect to Moraes. This is the truth. But also I would say the odds are definitely big disrespecting Moraes. I would say anything, it'd be a decent little bet to put on Moraes in this one, just for the disrespect to kind of give him on there. Like he's like a plus 500, maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit more, maybe a lot more. But this guy is a world-class BJJ practitioner, has a solid striking game as well. Johnson, as far as over here, has been really more of a grappler than a striker in this one. I mean, he's been a full mixed martial artist and has always been, but really a lot of his game, as far as in one, has been more grappling. When you look at his fights, it's been like 80% grappling. He might throw a strike or two here and there, might mix in a flurry here and there, but more it's so it's been grappling. Now you're going against a guy that's I believe a multiple-time world champion in BJJ, but don't quote me on that. And the skills have shown it. Excellent at taking backs, good rear naked chokes, good control. At times he could be a little bit less active on his back, and I feel like that's where area where Mighty Mouse can take advantage. But yeah, like I said, the height, the reach, world-class BJJ. Johnson been mostly grappling. He's going to deal with a lot of height, a lot of reach. And then on the inside, now he's going to be fighting the best grappler that he's probably fought. Now, I'm not going to say in his whole career, but definitely up there, if not the best grappler he's fought in his MMA career. But one of the better people. And fighting with a height reach, weight, and youth disadvantage against this guy. But I think Mighty Mouse is, like I said, had the better skill. I think he's better in the clinch. Can land those knees in the clinch. Good Muay Thai skills, good inside skills. Speed, got that over just about everybody. I think he can mix it up better than Moraes. Definitely way better than Moraes. But I do, like I said, concerns that of how good Moraes' ground game is in his size. And the fact that, even though Mighty Mouse mixes up so well, the fact that he's going to the ground so much and really doing like one or two shots, then going for taking every single time, can be time. And Moraes does have a good jumping knee, so that's the concern. But to get to the point on this one right here, I feel like Mighty Mouse will be able to mix it up, will be able to get it to the ground. And like I said, Moraes might be such a high level BJJ player, but Mighty Mouse is a high level pure MMA fighter. He's a full mixed martial artist. And Moraes, like I said, he's a mixed martial artist too, but Johnson truly embraces MMA and, like I said, skill wise, different level, speed wise, different level, and transitional wise. I think he's going to break him down with his pace and his pressure. And I feel like Mighty Mouse is fully starting, just as he won the tournament or won the tournament belt. I feel like Johnson was really fully starting to get adjusted to this weight. To this league, because again, you're coming from weight, you're not cutting weight. You find guys that probably still cutting weight and probably on steroids as well. So there's a lot of adapting. I think in that last fight, he did start to show that he is adapting. And I feel like in this one, he'll be even more prepared. And Moraes has been out for 2 years. Mighty Mouse has been about, a little more than 2 years. And Mighty Mouse has been out for just under 2 years. So inactivities on Moraes' side. And I think Johnson's been much more active because he fought like 3 fights. And I think Moraes fought like 2 or, I don't know, for like 1 fight 1 year, 1 fight a year. So Mighty Mouse has been much more active, despite them both being out for more than a year. But again, I think Mighty Mouse is going to be mixed up real well in this one. And that's going to be what's going to do it for him. Like what it has done it for him in all of his fights is the fact that he's able to adapt. He has skills everywhere, and he can take the fight where he can find his advantages. I don't feel like Moraes has the most, as far as striking or really anything, I don't think he has the most arsenals, or he don't have the biggest arsenal of strikes, but very dangerous with those. And I feel like Johnson will come in prepared to adapt to those skills, catch his kicks. He definitely like to throw that little lead. He definitely like to attack the lead leg. He likes to throw that low kick a lot. And I feel like Johnson will be able to time that, catch it, score takedowns off it, or initiate the clinch off it, get to the ground. With his speed of transitions, just never allow Moraes to really get settled and really neutralize a lot of his ground game. But I feel like Moraes will at times be able to take the back. Johnson had his back taken against some of these other guys as well. But gonna be hard. Johnson's hard to hold down. He is like a mouse. But again, tough fight. Definitely much tougher than they given on the paper. But I feel like Johnson's ability to mix it up, adapt, set a pace, adjust that pace, and take it where it needs to take is going to allow him to get a decision in this one. But a very close, tight fight. But Johnson showing again why he is one of the greatest fighters of all time. So in this one, I have Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson via decision. And that concludes my fight predictions for 1 on TNT 1, Moraes versus Johnson. And as always, thanks for watching.